Welcome to ReReview, where we watch movies from our past with a perspective from today. Your hosts are Matt, Bobby, and Austin, and we love the films from our youth, so we're taking a look back to see if they still hold up. On this episode, we're discussing Cloverfield. It was released in 2008, directed by Matt Reeves. It stars Mike Vogel, Jessica Lucas, and Lizzy Caplan. This movie is about the end of the world as we know it. Now, this is a fair warning. We're spoiling a 17-year-old movie, so if you haven't seen it, we will be revealing key plot points. I think I wanted to start off with the lost footage renaissance and timeline. I remember we watched As Above, So Below, and we talked then considerably about how he feels about these types of films. But as a quick reminder, Matt, when this started with Blair Witch, right? And I feel like, is this movie released in 2008 around when we had a lot of these, or was this kicking it off again after a glut of films that were all found footage?
To be fair, the very first found footage movie that I know of was, what was it, Cannibal Holocaust in like the 80s?
Oh, damn. Okay.
But here was the thing about found footage was the entire intention was to suspend the disbelief, right? So that when you watched it, you literally thought that it was real. And with Cannibal Holocaust, like, it was so real that people had actually died. And so, like, they had to literally bring the actors into the government offices to be like, this person's still alive. No one ate them. They're still here. And that was like the level of, because no one had really done it before, right? Everything had been big Hollywood productions, Cleopatra and Ben-Hur and, Close Encounters and all this stuff. And so the idea of something that looked like it could have been filmed on either a handheld camcorder or at the very least was like a documentary style film that things had went awry or whatever was still fairly new. I think between then and Blair Witch, there was only a handful of movies that had come out. And even then after Blair Witch, there was only a handful that had come out until about the early 2000s when this one hit. And then you just saw this glut between like 2007 and 2010 where you saw them kind of hit in every direction. And I think that even Blair Witch itself kind of realized it was a risky medium to go down, because I think the sequel wasn't even found footage anymore. Like, what was it? The Witch's Diary or whatever the sequel was called.
Remember Chronicle?
It's funny because a genre like Westerns, for example, can become so overpopulated that you can only think of bad ones. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to found footage, I tend to only think of the good ones, the ones that I think, in my mind anyways, that I enjoyed. So Blair Witch is not a great movie when you look at it in the terms of an arc or anything like that. But for what it was an enjoyable movie. Cloverfield, I think did the job that it was supposed to do. And I think Chronicle also did a fairly good job of the overall story. I think that like Wreck, the original, one that was from Spain or whatever, that was a fairly good found footage movie. I think I tend to remember the found footage movies more than the bad ones. Yeah. So it's an interesting subgenre of movies that kind of came out. And I think that it tend to favor horror movies more than anything else. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen very many found footage love stories or rom-coms.
It makes sense. From the perspective of creating a little bit of shock and awe, making the viewer feel like they're in the mix of everything. But I guess it would be interesting for, is it still like you're the third party watching someone fall in love? Is this the rom-com idea?
Right.
Or are you the person who's falling in love?
To me, the trick with that is they have to explain why they're doing a recording. Is it like for some kind of weird viral video experiment or something? Because in this movie, they did explain why he was still walking around with the camcorder, like, despite all these things going on with him.
How would you do this?
Are we going down this route? I mean, I think if we were looking at it in modern days, especially now that everyone, like, okay, if you wanted to do it now, I don't know if a found footage movie can work now, but if you wanted to do it today, I feel like everyone wants to be an influencer. So right, either you do it from the point of view of it's somebody filming a vlog or it's a Twitch stream. of them,
the Twitch streamer falls in love with their chat and they actually fall in love with someone from their chat. Hey Chad, how's it going?
The trick is like, how do you make it edit? It was like a video glitch, and then or they just stopped recording and then it started up again.
Hugs. Use hugs to splice it together.
I love this.
Well, because then that same question kind of comes into place with like 1912, right? The idea of like how you do a continuous thing. I guess it depends on how you do it. If you do it as a Twitch stream, I think you have to kind of find a way to do it like poor connection, right? You could say that like I love how we're like somehow writing a movie right now. If a year from now there's a movie that comes out that's this premise, we've got to get producer credit. Come on.
Well, okay, so here's the quintessential way they do it. Someone is committing to like their own Twitch-a-thon where they're going to be on stream for like 72 hours, and through that they find love. End scene.
I'm on board with this, and I'm borderline like, how can you pull this off? Because I'm like,
right. The problem is like, how do you see? Because they could call in first, and you only hear the voice, and then they're like, "Oh, call in, so we could see your face."
I love the idea that you are treating it like a radio show instead of the parasocial thing that it actually is, where there's just some creep on the other end.
Oh, so you see them the whole time? Like they don't like.
Oh no, you only see text. You only see text,
right?
And somehow the person falls in love with it through their messaging.
Oh, so it's not a voice.
You know, we will pause this thought and go on to another one. I want to talk about the marketing for Cloverfield, because I feel like I remember when this originally came out, I don't think I realized that it was a monster movie. And I'll admit, we watched the trailer and it feels very obvious now, but in my memory, I thought that they were making like some kind of other, bad city gets attacked, or sorry, city gets attacked, not necessarily
bad city. Like naughty New York. Oh man, you're victim shaming New York. Oh my god,
do that to New York. But a city attack film. I don't know how much we were in our dystopian everything gets attacked movies at the time, but I thought in my head it was one of those. I think Matt, you saw it in the theater though.
I saw it in the theater, but I don't think I saw the trailer for it. The only thing that I knew about it going into it, and I guess this was because, if you think about it, 2008, right? 2008 is the year that social networking really kind of started thriving. Like, yeah, MySpace existed and Friendster, but this is when like Facebook, and MySpace were kind of getting into like their strive. And so like social media was kind of really growing. YouTube had started that year, if I remember correctly, like really started growing. And so me going into it, I don't think I'd seen a trailer, but I'd seen a poster at a movie theater, and I'd heard about people watching it and getting sick because of the motion sickness.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was enough to get me interested to go on a date to go watch it. And I was prepared.
Hold on. Hey girl, do you want to vomit with me?
There is no stronger bonding moment than
I see what you did. That's great. That's fantastic.
Damn, that's a hell of a pickle. Hey girl, you want me to hold your hair?
Oh man. Well, it got you into the movies, just hearing about it.
It did. And to be honest, because I didn't know much about it, as it started, I didn't know where it was going. And again, found footage at this point was still not new. Obviously, I had seen Blair Witch when I was like probably like 16 or 17 or something. So I knew found footage. So it wasn't like it was a new medium to me. But going into it, I didn't know what to expect from it. And so when it gets to they're standing on the roof and the explosion and everything, I'm like, oh, okay. And then that's where I started. Like, I had heard rumors that it might have been a secret Godzilla movie. And so I was like, oh, is this Godzilla? And then I think once they did the reveal, I was like, oh, that's not fucking Godzilla. But I get where they're coming from with this, because I was for better or worse, a fan of the Godzilla movie in the 90s. So, I was like, where's Matthew Broderick? Is he going to run by in his taxi cab?
Didn't. Okay. Bobby.
Come with me.
Oh boy. Oh, okay. As my resident, I love movie tech person, Bobby, how did you feel about them presenting this from the perspective of having what was essentially a portable camera and using an overwritten tape to record what we see in the movie and then intermix with the ill-fated love of our two characters whose names I'm going to get you in a moment?
I mean, we've talked about kind of like these technology heavy movies like The Ring and stuff like that. And to me, it's interesting because it makes me think about the technology of it. And I thought it was a neat idea about how he had recorded over so you have to know about a tape system, right? Because it's not like right now where it's like digital files, but how basically if you record something on a tape, it would break the time code. Like if you had recorded over something, find bits of it in between. And so I thought that was an interesting story idea, especially with the end. They're like, let's have a happy ending and show the month ago footage.
I think you just broke my brain. The idea that only 17 years and you could probably show this to a kid and they're going to be like, what do you mean overwrite?
Yeah,
what are you talking about? A tape system? Oh, this hurts.
Right.
Thanks for the existential crisis.
It's a completely different recording system now, but back in the day, it was literally like recording onto a tape. It was a fun kind of way that they did it. But what doesn't make sense is that this was a recording from the Department of Defense, and all the glitches and stuff just stayed in the secondary recording that they had.
Well, no. Well, it said do not make a copy, right? I assumed it was the you're right. I guess how did they splice in the DoD stuff? Yeah, that's a good question. So the real thing here is, did you ever disappoint your family by overwriting one of their videos?
I don't think I disappointed my family, but I think I disappointed myself by overwriting stuff before.
Okay. All right. important memories, or sorry, I recorded over that sports ball game that I was watching.
Yeah. There would be times when where's that recording I have? And then I can't find it because I recorded over it with something else.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Mainly it was around recording probably sitcoms and then being sad that I probably lost an episode of The Simpsons somewhere.
Well, I would even, and this is old school technology for you, I would even get old VHSs way back in the day, ones that we had bought, and tape over the record tab and re-record over the top of those. If it was a movie I didn't like, and use it as a blank tape.
Sir, I don't know about your love for movies anymore. that is some cold-hearted stuff right there.
Yeah,
this movie is trash. This is now a new tape.
My sisters, she's like, I don't want this anymore. I'll be like, okay, I'm recording over this now.
But I feel okay, maybe it was just me, but and I know this is dating ourselves or whatever, but I would always have this stack of either Sony or Maxwell or TDK blank VHSs, and you would have the labels on the side that you'd write them, and I used to have the ones that had the square blocking on the label, so you could write out the letters evenly.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm so fucking old.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll get to the other thing here. We'll keep the tech piece going, but one of the things you mentioned, Matt, about why found footage would be hard to do today. If they made a movie found footage today, they'd probably set it in a different time period, right? Because now we live in a world where anything that needs to be documented is 1,000 phones come out and it's being recorded and either live streamed or posted immediately. How much was it to see these 2008 phones that people were pulling out on screen to actually record video? I was super stoked on that.
With their 320 by 160 resolution.
You think it was that high?
It might
even been lower,
because here's the thing, right? Because 2008 is because it's it's really funny when you really think about it. 2008 was kind of a magical year for technology in general, because this is also when the iPhone came out. So we're getting smartphone technology. I think this is when the iPod Touch came out as well, because I had one of those and I remember recording video on it back in college, and being amazed by it. Even like the little handheld camcorders that were like palm sized, just being amazed by the quality of it. And now it's just total ass quality.
Right. 2008 was a bad year for other things. Did this movie crash in the box office?
I don't know, but I did, if I'm not getting a hallucination here, because this is the time and frame we're in, apparently 2008, the phone's resolutions would, the video resolution would be from 128 by 96 all the way up to 640 by 480. Can you imagine how expensive that phone must have been to record 640 by 480 in 2008?
BlackBerry One.
Well, it's funny because I remember when this movie came out, there was a lot of hype about actually getting into the movie itself, but the scene where they're crossing the Brooklyn Bridge. Mm-hmm. And there's the huge exodus of people that are going on. Mm-hmm. And there was this moment where HUD is filming, and I think Jason is a little bit further ahead. They've kind of separated out
and pulled away from the crowd.
And there's a moment where you see HUD, I'm going to say lens contact with another guy who's kind of standing above the crowd, and he has a camera as well. And there was this whole discussion that they were going to do a sequel of parallel events where it was from that person's perspective and potentially their group. And I can't remember what he was filming on, but I feel like it was a cell phone at the time. And I remember actually being interested to see a sequel because I've always been a fan of Back to the Future franchise. And I love Back to the Future 2 because you got this very unique perspective of a different perspective of the first movie's events during the prom.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, I'm about to I'm going to lose my credits for not knowing that off the top of my head. Under the Sea dance. So you got to see a different perspective. And so I was really kind of hyped about the idea of that. And so, you could have gone the route of, not being a camcorder and being a different perspective. I even watching this again, I kind of wanted to see the perspective of that guy and how interesting it'd been. Like, what if Jason had survived and he had joined that guy in his group and they're trying to get out of the thing. But at the same time, I kind of get the fear of you're just retreading the same events, right?
It's really odd. I made a comment a few times, but everything you just described, I feel like Neil Druckmann, Sony, Last of Us literally stole all this. Like now it feels even more Last of Us-y based on the imagery we saw in the movie and the parts that made it feel very much like a zombie film. And Bobby, to answer your question, looks like it cost them $25 million to make it. Opening weekend, they got $40 million.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
That was also, that's kind of always been the appeal because to me, I know that the origin or the more modern origin is Blair Witch, but I always draw on Paranormal Activity as kind of like the go-to found footage movie. Like it's about making a movie cheap and just pull it. Because even if you only made like 100 million, if it only cost you 5 million, that's profit right there.
Right. I guess that's a good point for the found footage thing. But my problem is a lot of times when I see a found footage movie, I think to myself, I'd probably enjoy this better if it was a traditional kind of situation.
Really?
I do. Like, I'd prefer to be like, there's a bunch of movies like maybe Bourne is like an extreme example, but like a handheld kind of like indie style, I think would suit better in my mind for most kinds of things.
But let's talk through the use of the tech that was done here. And so you're saying this movie you would prefer if they filmed it different, but what about the idea? I think Matt, you said it's 83 minutes because that was the size of the tape of the camcorder that they were using.
Yeah, that was something I read. Yeah.
Oh, you said that, Bobby. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't that's everything you want in a movie, isn't it?
No, I do appreciate the short runtime, but I think that the trick with the found footage thing is that you're pinning yourself into a corner on why is somebody filming? There was a narrator.
But to be fair, if you filmed it now, would you ask that question, why is somebody filming? Because I feel like everyone's filming. Like anything that happens, people pull out their phones instantaneously. It doesn't have to be an end of the world event. It could be a squirrel attacking a dude and everyone's filming it.
Right. Me being a process guy, even though that's a common thing now, I would still like for someone to say, to this movie's credit, they did this a lot. Someone to say, stop filming, man. Why are you still filming, man? Gee, like we've almost been killed 6 times already. Don't you think you could have your priorities straight?
But we got to document it, man.
But I did think it was funny how he's like, yeah, I would have like dumped myself if I didn't have this something else to think about.
But to be fair though, like I could totally see this film happening now and somebody just constantly turning the camera back on themselves like, chat, this is crazy, man. There's no cap chat. Just
for sure.
Like I would have no questions about it now. Back then, I think that question always came up as to why would somebody still be filming? Like, could you imagine taking a movie like Titanic and have it be a found footage movie? I mean, I know technically that'd be like 700-pound cameras. And they had to swap they had to swap the reel every like 5 minutes or whatever in order to film it. But like,
that's a great way to make your edits right there. It can only be a 2.5 minute scene before they have to swap a reel.
No, it's time traveling Titanic movie where we do somehow go back into Cameron's version, but someone sent a phone into the past. And now we get a full sex scene in a carriage or whatever it was.
Goddamn.
Hold on. Come back with me. The monster reveal. First, before we even talk about the monster itself, what about the timing of the reveal? Because I feel like I remember being surprised how early we saw it. I don't know if it's early because you're right, it is a short film, but I felt like, it was quicker than I probably anticipated when I first saw it.
Considering what they did, I can't remember when did it come out, 2014, the Godzilla movie, the American one, where one of the biggest complaints that people had about that movie was you don't see Godzilla until like halfway through the movie. And anytime you would see Godzilla, especially like whenever it was fighting the Mutos or whatever, it would be like, they're about to clash. They're at the Hawaiian airport. You see the steps. It's all cool. All right, it's about to start. And then like a thing closes or it cuts to like a video footage of it in like the US, in the mainland or whatever. And so that that was a common complaint. And in this one, I almost could have seen it last a little bit longer before we got to see like a full reveal of it, where like you got to see because even in 1999 Godzilla or whatever, 1997, whatever it was, they kind of did that where like you don't see, my God, because like you see a footprint, you see just a tail, you see a staticky, glitchy camera of it, and it like you see like on a high rise, you see like the spines that's kind of going across, and it's not really until about halfway to get like a really good shot. Now, was that because the CG was so horrendous that they were like, we can't show this, like the Jaws? They were like, we can't show it until like the very end? Or was it because they wanted to build suspense? I'd like to believe it's the latter. I would almost have enjoyed it more had it been a little bit more suspenseful, but would that have also built up my anticipation and set the bar to a certain level of what I thought the monster should look like? And then if I saw it, I'd be like, oh, that's it. Because like, it's not Godzilla, right? It's not by any means what I'd consider a very iconic design. I mean, now if I see it, I recognize it as Clover, but it's not, Ghidorah. It's not like any of like the kaiju movies of old leading up to this. So it's not a very like interesting design, but I get that it's a design probably inspired by ocean life and things that might potentially I'm using huge air quotes here, actually exist.
Yeah, it looked like it was inspired by that kind of stuff.
Did you like this? Go ahead, Matt.
No, I think that them doing it a little bit earlier probably prevented me from building it up in my mind before the reveal.
That's a good point.
And I think the way they did it in a realistic enough way so it wasn't too glamorized. It very much was from a POV of something that big. I mean, it's like from an ant looking up at us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Bobby, did you like the creature design?
I mean, I thought it was okay. I mean, I wasn't.
It didn't scare you as JJ wanted?
I mean, it was fine. I mean, it was a monster.
You left it with this thing could never be truly iconic.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it seemed to have these weird, gangly, like backwards arms and legs and stuff. And it was clear that they were trying to do something different to make it not look like a Godzilla or anything like that. These creature designs are tricky. I think they could have done something a little bit more interesting, like something with a bunch of horns or something like an alligator that has a bunch of gnarly looking scales. Instead, it was just kind of like a skin looking thing. And then the other parasites or whatever the heck they reminded me a lot of like the face huggers and like spiders. And, you know, that just kind of felt familiar. So I wasn't overly excited by the creature. But that said, I do think that they showed it more than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be like only you see a glimpse of it here or a glimpse of it here.
So let's talk about seeing it. And it's one of these because it's 2008. I think you said it was filmed in 1080, right? For it itself?
It was filmed on a pro-consumer Panasonic.
Well, I think this is kind of one of the key things. I think we've talked historically about the challenges of things that were recorded, or really now we're seeing it today as things get upscaled to 4K for movies that were done in the early 2000s. And it's like glaring that the CG that's used is not that great because they did the CG at lower resolutions. So if this film is stuck in a 1080 world, how do you actually feel about the CG that you saw? The monsters, the kids, the Statue of Liberty head.
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I thought to myself, there's so much movement in all these shots that it must be a nightmare to try to track it in. And there's all this darkness and smoke and all this kind of stuff. And in the beginning, there was some smoke in one shot. And I thought, okay, that doesn't look so good. Like that looks like a particle simulation, or like I could tell like there was some kind of VFX there. But for the most part, I thought it was really good. And I thought that the style was like pretty hidden. Like I was thinking, like, what kind of rig do they have? Like, where's the lighting? Like, to me, this movie looks like they just got a camera and just went out and just started doing stuff. But no movie can be made like that. So they had to have a bunch of lights and a bunch of stuff going on. So they did a really good job of hiding all that and making it look like effortless when you know that it's not.
I always felt there was a weight behind the Statue of Liberty's head when it came across. Now, it probably would have caused a lot more damage, but the way it slid in with the sound and even the way it looked, even though it looked artificial, it felt, it didn't, and it did. Like, I'm agreeing with you. I liked most of it. I think there was only one scene that really stood out with one of the little, I'm calling them chitters, creature things that looked super green screen and fake. And it's like you mentioned, it's probably just not matching the light. Right. And that's what helps CG kind of not stand out as much. Anything for you, Matt, CG wise?
I mean, nothing major that stood out. I do think that one of the downsides to digital filmmaking that is kind of it's a negative in a lot of senses, that at the end of the day, you know, pixels are pixels. So obviously AI is getting better and better at taking that sort of information and reprocessing it. But looking at the Statue of Liberty headshot, you know, that you brought up, that was clearly a trailer shot. It was such a, because you're taking an icon of New York, something that's very synonymous with New York, and literally decapitating it, right? It, like, makes no sense. The idea that, like, what was it? Like, the monster was just squaring up with Lady Liberty. It's like, what up? What up? And just, like, you know, smacked it, you know, and just launched it across the city or whatever. It makes no sense. But it was 100% meant to be that kind of shot, but you probably can't really take that and, you know, you'd probably have to go in and take the original, you know, raw footage and have to completely redo it, because you can't really take the original. It wasn't like, you know, back in, you know, the Star Wars days where you could take the original film and it was actually filmed at the same resolution as the film. So you're able to upscale it in an adequate way. I do think that, to its credit, considering the medium and considering the difficulty of matching two digital, which was not very friendly back in the day. I mean, I filmed on this camera, so like I know how unfriendly it was.
Yeah. Those P2 cards were something else, man.
Yeah. The fact that they were able to do what they did, kudos to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the quality of it stands up for what it is. I don't think that, you know, is this Jurassic Park with the T-Rex in the rain? No. Is it is it better than the Brontosaurus Brachiosaurus when they first see it? Yeah, it's better than that. But it's also 10 plus years older than that, so it better be. So
now, we haven't gotten into it, but I do need to ask, because this is obviously a movie about relationships, and we have friends and brothers and lovers. And at the end of the day, first I'm going to say, do you have a character that stood out to you that you enjoyed?
that is so tough because in hindsight,
I'm okay
not
with
so
it being
much.
tough.
So when I first watched it, I remember liking HUD's character, as annoying as he was, because
very annoying.
It was a Forrest Gumpish type character, like almost so dumb that it was almost innocent in a way type character, where like in this, because you look at the characters and quite frankly, a lot of them were assholes.
Right?
Like
that girl did not like HUD.
No, and to be fair, he was incredibly pushy, and in hindsight, actors involved. Yeah. I think that Lily is probably the only one that I was okay with, because I think that character could have very easily been the nagging character in the movie.
Yeah.
And it didn't quite go. She was just the sane one in the whole thing. She was the gap between this whole messed up little friend family that seemed to, and I'm jumping towards the end, I'm glad it looks like she survived.
Yeah.
Because if anyone deserved to survive out of all of them, it was her. So
is she in the subsequent movies, or that's it with her?
No, because none of them were true sequels to it. So there was, if she was, it might have been a passing thing, kind of like the end thing with the whole dropping into the ocean or whatever. It might have been a if you blink you missed her type thing. But yeah, I probably the best one, but not necessarily because she's my favorite, just because she's the least terrible out of everyone.
She does, because Jason seems like a jerk. Jason is not nice to his brother, doesn't support his brother at all. Rob is not loved by him, even though he is. But then it also seems the way he paints Rob is that Rob is also not a great person. And even though he's loved Beth forever, you know, the idea that he didn't reach out to her after and basically ghosted her before ghosting was a thing because he was leaving to Japan. Yeah, so not that great either. And HUD is like a mini incel, or basically is an incel, in love with Marlena, who doesn't even know HUD exists. And poor Beth has a boyfriend within a couple weeks, or brought a date to his party. Yeah, just a whole bunch of shenanigans. And Lily's just like, yo, I'm just trying to have a goodbye party for everyone. So yes, I'm kind of glad she survives. Did someone stand out for you, Bobby?
I didn't like very many of them either. I mean, I do like the ones we talked about. I think her name was Lily, for, you know, reasons we talked about. I did like her. I kind of felt bad for, I don't remember her character's name, Lizzy Caplan's character.
Marlena.
Yeah, not only like was she currently hassled by HUD, but she then got killed, you know, like right after trying to deal with him. So she had a rough time of it all across. And then for some reason, I'm finding it interesting that his name was HUD, and he was kind of like it's almost like he was the heads up display for
you're about to hit us with the heads up display.
It's almost like that was intentional, because he was the voice behind the camera. He was like the Jarvis of the movie, so to speak. Okay,
I have to ask you, because you mentioned it, Bobby. So what camera survives through all the shenanigans we saw in this movie? The people don't make it, but this camera does. Or not even the camera. Let's say it's the tape that makes it. What technology is this? Well, this has got to be one of those like Nokia kind of cameras, because it got dropped a bunch of times. I guess he fell down, but he fell down with it on his chest. He was seemed like he was kind of protecting it.
but it got dropped many times. And then
Did it get eaten? It missed getting a chop at the end.
no,
just
it just
barely,
got,
right?
It got buried by rocks and still made it out, and the lens didn't crack or whatever. But
because we're
Yeah, that thing
assuming
was-
they nuke, right? Wasn't that the whole point? Is that they're going to nuke the creature, or no?
I don't think it was nuke. I think it was just like they were just going to bombard. They were going to like carpet bomb New York.
yeah,
Because like
just
I think
really strong explosions, not radioactive fallout.
because like that's always tough, right? Is you look at like Avengers, like oh we're going to nuke New York or whatever. Like even if that does the job, you also at that point you might as well just let it destroy New York because it would be the same thing.
Right.
You don't really do much at that point. But at least with the carpet bombing, yeah, you destroy probably most of New York, and real estate prices probably soar after that. But my impression was it was just like literally carpet bombing coming down from like B-2 bombers
Got
or
it.
something.
Okay.
What do you think they would actually do if there was 4 civilians in the middle of an army thing? Like, they wouldn't just helicopter them out alone. They'd do something else, right?
I think that they would if they could.
Okay.
I think that generally speaking, if they have the capability, because you look at like pullouts from like Vietnam and stuff, they obviously try to get as many people out as they could. I think the same thing would apply here if they have those capacity. But like, if it's like we're trying to fight this thing and you want us to get you out, like they're going to prioritize the fighting.
Right.
But
right.
they're all trying to get out. Like they're trying to get as many people out as they could because they knew what was about to happen in like 10 minutes. So.
Mhm.
I'm okay with it. I think that the more unbelievable interaction with the military was in the Nordstroms or whatever they were. And like they were telling them the whole thing. I'm like, I don't buy that. I don't think that they would take their time to like, listen, if you're trying to get to Midtown or whatever, you have 15 minutes before Hammer Down. Hammer Down is this.
Sure.
I'm like, I don't think they would say all that. They'd be like, you're coming with us or else like you, like
Right.
whatever.
I don't think they would say all that either, but I did like that it wasn't just the cliche, like, shut up and sit over there. Like all the military dudes are like mindless robot kind of things. They're just, I do like that the one guy showed some humanity to try to save people as opposed to just so focused on the mission,
Well,
even if it was unrealistic.
let's talk about unrealistic saving people. Rob tries to save Beth. I want to ask you, at the end of the day, this very broken love story, they are together under the bridge as things come crumbling on them and they're obviously killed. Were you satisfied with them painting this? Because obviously there were the two characters.
Were you satisfied with them dying?
Well, here's the thing.
I was
There were the two-
satisfied with them dying, but I was confused by the love story, to be honest.
Well, because they're the two characters we're seeing the whole time being intermixed with their April 27th day
Yeah,
of
like
L'Amour.
why is there the other dude and what happened to the other dude? And why does he go back after her? And then why is she like, oh, you came after me. I'm so happy. Why is she so happy? She's with the other dude.
Okay.
Wow.
Matt?
Okay, Bobby. All right.
Hold on.
I'm just confused by the like 3-way dynamic of it all.
Let's get some clarity. Matt, did you appreciate the painting of these two people needed to be connected at the end of the tale?
I think that upon first watching of it, I don't think I really liked the arc that they did for the entire thing. Watching it now and kind of listening to how everything, so the whole backstory about, because I had always assumed that they were in a relationship going
Right,
into.
see, that's what I thought too.
But that's not what it was. It was like a one-nighter.
Yeah.
It was like they had always been friends. They had always had like like will they, won't they dynamic.
Mhm.
And then it happened for like a little bit. No one knew, not even friends or family or whatever. Lily apparently was the only one who actually knew,
Mhm.
probably from Beth. And because of his move, he was like, I don't want to make this a real thing if I'm going to be in Japan for however long he is supposed to be there.
Mhm.
I Zoom didn't exist back then. So I get it from that perspective. I didn't like the characters enough to care by the end. I wish that I did. I did feel so. The one thing I'll give, and I know we're kind of going over on this, but the one thing that I did feel for was Rob having to explain Jason's death to his mom
No.
in the subway.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the more humanizing moments for him, even more so than trying to save Beth, because to me, at least to his credit, he said, you guys don't have to follow me. I'm going to go because I just lost my brother. I'm not going to lose her too. Even though there's no proof she's even still alive at this point, it was kind of on them to follow him for whatever reason. And if you really think about it, for whatever negative happens along the way, technically, had he not stopped for that phone call on the bridge, they all would have died with Jason anyways.
Correct.
So technically, Beth was the reason why any of them survived. So there's that. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I, at the very least, wasn't sad by the ending. It wasn't it's a tragic ending for me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Bobby will have to do some more digging on why you don't like a tripod of a relationship. But I will ask you, Bobby, are you recommending Cloverfield?
Yes. I mean, I did like the movie. I mean, my found footage misgivings aside, I think that it flowed pretty good. You can't argue that nice runtime. So I was pretty happy with everything, and I enjoyed it, and I was engaged with it, and I think it's worth a look.
Matt, are you telling people to watch Cloverfield?
I definitely think that if you've never seen it before, it's worth checking out, keeping in mind that it was a 2008 movie. I think that it hits a lot of the points that I think a found footage movie needs to, from a suspense and thrill point of view, from a point, like just a POV type thing. I will caveat to say, if you watch this and you know about Cloverfield Lane and the paradox, that this is not a straight line viewing. It's not a franchise like Back to the Future or even Aliens or anything like that. So if you watch this one and you enjoy it, it's not going to be in the same lane when you watch the follow-ups to it. FYI.
So should you watch the follow-ups or no? Hold this on its own?
I think that this one they're all different from each other.
Isn't there one that only takes place in a basement or something?
Yes, Cloverfield Lane. It's very much like a doomsday type thing or whatever, like a bunker type thing. I think that they all have merit in different ways. None of them the other ones aren't found footage like this one, so it doesn't have the same vibe.
They're very interesting.
They're more production orientated, but I think that with Cloverfield Lane, it's much more of a slow pace burn type movie, which is fine. Whereas Paradox is much more sci-fi. So if you're into like aliens and stuff like that, you'd probably find that one a little bit more interesting. This one has much more suspense than those two combined, if you ask me, in a lot of ways, because it's found footage. So it's an interesting franchise. They kind of made it more of an anthology than a trilogy, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think that's interesting that they tried something different with it.
You want more anthologies? Look, I'm going to say yes to this movie as well. For it being this many years that has passed, and it's been a while since I've watched it. It's, I still find it entertaining. I like all the shenanigans. And at the end of the day, it being a monster movie with we'll call it a third tier monster, maybe, Bobby, third tier, is A-okay with me. So we're getting a trifecta. Everyone's saying watch it. And even an extra recommendation to watch the rest of the franchise, because they'll just be a bit different. And as Bobby enthused, they're not all found footage. So that might be a reason that's worth watching. As always, thank you for listening. And remember to forget the world and hang on to the people you care about the most.